Hi, this is Daylene Barton with naturalfertilityinfo.com. Today I'm going to talk to you about estrogen, one of the most popular subjects, and I feel like estrogen kind of gets a bad rap, like it's progesterone's nemesis, but actually estrogen is very important to a healthy natural menstrual cycle. It's important for a variety of bodily functions. So I'm going to talk about 3 different kinds of estrogen today to help you understand how you can promote healthy estrogen balance in the body. So first off, we have endogenous estrogen. And endogenous estrogen is our own natural estrogens. These are steroid hormones, and they're important for bone formation, gene expression, healthy cholesterol levels, and they're vital for a healthy menstrual cycle. So these are just our naturally produced own estrogens in our body, and those are called endogenous estrogen. Now, we live in a time where there is more chemical pollution than in any other time in the history of humanity. We're smart as humans and we can make all kinds of things, but we're not always thinking about the impact that these may have on our fertility. And so this brings us to a group called xenoestrogens. And xenoestrogens are a subclass of endocrine disruptors. And there's a bigger group which are just xenohormones in general, but they're actually a subclass called xenoestrogens. So what these do is they are endocrine disruptors, and they come from human-made chemicals only, and they have the ability to interfere with our natural bodily functions and the natural development of our bodies. The main function of our endocrine system is to serve as our body's message center. Hormones deliver the messages, okay? So our hormones deliver the messages, the endocrine system coordinates them. These human-made chemicals have a direct effect on our endocrine system. So they can alter how natural hormones are produced, metabolized, and eliminated in our bodies. They also can block our natural hormones from binding to proper receptor sites. They exert a very strong hormone-like effect, especially xenoestrogens. So they're going to bind to our estrogen receptor sites, and they're going to elicit a very strong estrogenic-like effect. Xenohormones and xenoestrogens are all around us all the time. They come from many different kinds of human-made chemicals. Paints, fertilizers, herbicides, food dyes, plastics is a number one xenoestrogen. So this is something to think about, is that in the past, we didn't have these things. Today, because we're able to make things unlike we ever have in history, we have more chemical pollution. And then this brings us to phytoestrogens. Now, I think phytoestrogens are one of the number one things we get asked about. I know that many of you have estrogen dominant conditions, or what are considered estrogen dominant conditions, and many of you are worried about consuming phytoestrogens. Now, phytoestrogens are not true estrogens. They are chemical plant compounds that have a similar action to our own endogenous estrogen, but they have a weaker effect, and they bind weakly to our estrogen receptor sites. So they're not as strong as xenoestrogens, and they're not as strong as our own endogenous estrogen. Through my research, I have come to find that phytoestrogens are what I consider protectors from the world that we're living in right now, where we have a lot of human-made chemical pollution. So You know, I've asked the same questions that you all ask out there. Well, is it safe for us to consume phytoestrogens? Should we be taking, you know, concentrated forms of soy estrogen products that are over the counter? Should I be eating a lot of soy? What about herbs like red clover or licorice root? Will those affect my estrogen dominant condition? And so my number one question has been, how are phytoestrogens good for us when they're also blocking our own good endogenous estrogen? And the answer really lies in xenohormones and these man-made chemical toxins in our environment. Phytoestrogens compete with the xenohormones and the xenoestrogens for the receptor sites. If phytoestrogens can bind to the receptor sites first, they're going to block our body, or block xenoestrogens from binding and exerting this very strong estrogen-like effect, which can cause estrogen dominance. So they're actually protecting our bodies. Phytoestrogens are found in plant foods that we consume every single day, and we've been consuming these throughout history, and there is really no proof that consuming large amounts of these, you know, daily, because we do consume them daily, are going to cause estrogen dominance. They're found in seeds, beans, grains, and many medicinal plants. So that's something to think about. You know, throughout history, humans have been consuming plants, seeds, and grains, and medicinal herbs for healing, but we've not always been exposed to xenoestrogens and xenohormones, which are endocrine disruptors. So this leads to, how can we protect ourselves? How can we promote healthy estrogen metabolism in the body when we are bombarded daily by these xenoestrogens? So the number one thing you want to begin to think about if you have any sort of fertility issue, because the hormone estrogen plays a vital role in the natural menstrual cycle. If something is messed up within that cycle and you're either estrogen dominant or you have low estrogen, there's a signal that something is not functioning correctly. We're going to want to really nourish the endocrine system. So that's something you're really going to want to think about first. Starting off by laying a healthy foundation by doing some fertility cleansing is something to really think about. Xenohormones are stored mainly in our liver, our fat cells, and our kidneys. So cleansing, flushing those xenohormones and toxins out of our bodies is going to be very vital to preconception and vital to healing any sort of fertility issue. It's going to lay a healthy foundation, a fresh, clean slate, getting as many of those toxins out of our body. Now, in order to do that, not only do we need to do some type of cleanse, but we also need to think about how our body eliminates things, so via feces, urine, and sweat. So you need to include, when you're doing a fertility cleanse or any type of cleanse, an avenue for your body to fully eliminate these toxins. You need to be sweating daily. You need to be exercising, getting your heart pumping, getting fresh oxygenated blood flowing so that you're creating a real system for elimination. Sweat, getting those toxins out of the pores of your skin, out of those fat cells. Drinking plenty of clean, filtered water. It has to be filtered. It's got to be clean. Otherwise, you're just consuming more toxins if you're not drinking plenty of water. If you can't get filtered water, you know, water, lots of water is better than no water at all, but a way to flush and cleanse our bodies. So cleansing, very, very important.